So, today I'm talking with Christy Morgan, who is the author of the Blissful Bites cookbook, which is one of my absolute favorite vegan cookbooks. And she also has the website theblissfulchef.com where you can find out more about her. And she has a focus on macrobiotic and Eastern cooking techniques and making those super yummy and easy for Western tastes and working nutrition into her cooking. So let's start by talking about how you started into healthy eating. And you went to a culinary school that focused on healthy cooking and macrobiotic techniques, right?
Yes, indeed. I actually went vegan. I just started teaching myself how to cook because when you go vegan, you really have to learn a new way of making food for yourself. And we started having potlucks and connecting with other vegans in the city, and I really loved cooking for people. And I was kind of not happy with what I was doing at the time. And my friend suggested this culinary school to me because we had both moved from Austin and it was macrobiotic. But at the time, I had no idea what that meant. I just knew it was mostly vegan and I wasn't going to go to a regular culinary school.
Right.
So yeah, I went and back to Austin and I checked it out and there was a few fish classes at the time, but I didn't have to touch or taste them. Everything else was vegan and I was like, okay, it was affordable compared to some of the other natural food schools. So I moved back to Austin and it changed my life. Like I had no idea what macrobiotic meant at the time. But I feel very blessed that I was able to learn those principles and learn about holistic nutrition.
Yeah, that sounds awesome that they combine the nutrition and the cooking together, which is always so important. And okay, so you were a vegan before you went to the cooking school, but you didn't quite know how to cook healthy food for yourself, or was it just that you wanted to learn how to make stuff taste better?
Well, when I decided to go to culinary school, I kind of changed my life path. I knew that I wanted to do something more compassionate because I was in the fashion, Hollywood world, and I was like, this is not very, um, this is like soul crushing. So I want to do something that actually nourishes me and helps other people. That was always sort of the reason why I transitioned to a new career. And I learned all the culinary aspects as well. So that trained me as a chef. But then I got the bonus of learning about Chinese medicine and learning how foods affect you and learning about organic and seasonal and the importance of local food. And I learned so much more than I could have ever learned just going to a regular culinary school.
Yeah, that's awesome. So tell us a little bit more about macrobiotic and what that means exactly.
Well, I always get asked this question, and it's a really hard thing to sort of sum up in a minute
Right.
because there's so much philosophy that goes along with it. It's known as the cancer curing diet, so it's a very healthy, healing way to eat. It's a whole foods diet, so minimal or no processed foods, uh, organic, local, seasonal produce when possible.
Uh-huh.
Uh, there's the Chinese medicine aspect, there's different seasons and different foods and different cooking methods go with each of those seasons, which makes sense. It's kind of a getting back to nature.
Right.
And
So
then reducing things that are harsh on your body, your organ systems, your mind, like sugar, alcohol, animal foods, things like that.
all right, sounds like a very well balanced approach. And
Exactly. I would call it a balanced approach. Exactly.
perfect. So, what are the main things that you've taken from macrobiotic and what you learned at culinary school into your own cooking?
Everything I do really in my book and my classes, they're all an extension of that education I received in macrobiotics. So, of course, the organic, local, seasonal produce is a very big importance to me.
Hmm.
I'm all about teaching people how to eat that way because when we go into the grocery stores today, they're completely seasonless. We can get, apples from New Zealand, bananas from wherever, and coconuts from Thailand. And there isn't really an emphasis on eating local foods traditionally if you go into a regular grocery store. Thankfully, with natural food stores and CSAs popping up everywhere, and companies like Greenling and other places that bring you a box of produce, people are starting to realize that this is a good way to eat because it isn't traveling thousands of miles to get to your plate. And the food just tastes better. If it's just picked and it's, brought to you at a farmer's market or in a box to your door, it's fresher, it tastes better, it has more nutrients.
So what are your main tips for balancing nutrition with making easy, tasty meals?
And one thing I learned in macrobiotics is simplicity. And that's what I try to teach people, because a lot of people don't cook because A, it takes a lot of time, it costs money, you use a lot of energy, and it's daunting. So what I teach people is how to do it simply. It doesn't have to be a gourmet cook-a-thon, say in a book. If you want to I usually tell people, keep most of the elements of the plate simple. Maybe pick one thing from a cookbook that's kind of fancier, and then have the other elements of the plate be simple. So it could just be some steamed broccoli with a little dressing on it, just plain grain, or a bean dish beans that are lightly seasoned. So I'm totally satisfied with a plate of quinoa, beans, and vegetables with some sort of dressing on it, because I've trained my taste buds to really enjoy simple food. And when I want to get fancy, then I spend more time and I get fancy. Or I eat out and I let that be the time that I eat really fancy. So I feel healthier and more balanced and more clean and clear in my head, and just more connected to the universe and nature and people if I eat more simply. So that is easy to do. If you learn those kind of techniques, you learn basic techniques of how to make beans tasty, how to make different kinds of whole grains, how to make vegetables tasty. If you learn these basic techniques, then whenever you come home from work, you can literally put the food on the table in 30 minutes. Everybody has the ability to make delicious food. It's not something we're born with. Like, I really think kind of art is one of those things where you're kind of born with it. People can develop it as well over time, but cooking is one of those things that everybody can learn and everybody can be good at with practice. If you've never picked up a knife before, just get in there and try it. Sure, you're going to mess up and you're going to have some really awful things happen, I'm sure, at first, but just stick with it, and take cooking classes and buy new cookbooks, or go on at all these amazing blogs and YouTube cooking channels that are available, and just get out there and do it and make your kitchen a place that you enjoy being in. Don't go into it thinking, oh, I have to cook dinner tonight. Like, make it exciting. Choose a different ethnic food that you're going to try each week, or try a new recipe out of a new book each week, which is what I'm doing on my blog. I'm cooking one recipe out of every one of my cookbooks just for fun, just to, explore new things. So make it adventurous, make it enjoyable.
Yeah, that's awesome. So many people get scared of cooking because they're afraid of making mistakes. And getting over that is pretty difficult to do. Have you found through your years of starting with culinary school and then experimenting on your own, are there any techniques and combinations of things that you find tend to work for you, and some that you steer clear of?
Well, first of all, if you're going to be cooking, you want to equip yourself with the best tools. You have to get a good chef knife and a bamboo or wood cutting board. A good knife really makes it so much enjoyable and quicker, because the knife, when I go to people's houses that I cook for or that I'm teaching with, I always bring my own knife, because using a dull knife is one of the most depressing things ever.
I know what you mean.
So, yeah. So get a good knife, and the other stuff can be whatever, but the knife is the most important thing. So that's my biggest advice, is spend the money and get a high quality chef knife. I prefer Japanese knives. I've tried them all, so I plug those. Those are my favorite.
Yeah, nice.
And a lot of people who are really busy, that have, 9-to-5 jobs, they have whatever, They can benefit from doing batch cooking, which is cooking on your day off, where you make a big pot of rice and a big pot of beans, and you pre-wash and pre-cut some vegetables, or
Mhm.
make a big one pot meal, or make a soup. And you do batch cooking where you prep a lot of things ahead of time, so you have those things available. So one pot of brown rice, like people, I always encourage people, not don't just make 1 cup, go ahead and make 3 cups, and that turns into 5 cups, and that food doesn't go bad. I mean, rice does not go bad.
Yep.
That's one good thing about plant-based foods, is they last a long time. Like, I'm ashamed to admit that, like, I made some raw taco meat that was made from nuts, and I had it 2 weeks later and it was still delicious. So I
That's
don't
awesome.
encourage people to do that. Like, please don't sue me if you get some sort of foodborne illness. But, rice is not going to go bad if you keep it in the fridge. So with that pot of brown rice, you can make so many different things. So you can make sushi for lunch. You can make a grain salad with it, where you throw in like some veggies and a nice dressing. You can make a rice porridge with it in the morning. You could also make a dessert with it. You can combine it with beans and nuts and make a veggie burger out of it. You can just eat it plain. You can do so many things with it. And you need to find ways to use leftovers creatively. So that's what I try to teach people, because once you understand that, then coming home from work, you have this grain already made in the fridge. You can just whip something up and steam some vegetables. It's super easy, right?
Yeah. And that's one of the things that I really love about your cookbook, is that so many of the recipes go together and you can use the same components in a lot of different ways. So well done.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's how I cook.
Yeah.
So even though I'm a chef, I'm also a home cook, and I want people to understand those principles. And also, it's a great way for people to explore new foods with Little Bites, and also to go to the store. And this is what I tell people that are on a budget: instead of making a shopping list, and this is more advanced, I guess, is to go to the store and see what's on sale, and then
Mhm.
buy that, and then come home and plan your meal. So Blissful Bites is divided by seasons, but the index, I spent a lot of time on the index because I get so frustrated with cookbooks indexes, right? You know
Yeah.
this.
Oh yeah. I appreciate your index.
So
It's well done.
so I make sure that I list all the vegetables and what recipes are in those vegetables, so that if you go to the store, it's winter now, and you see all these amazing winter squashes, you can come
Mhm.
home and you can look, okay, butternut, what can I make with butternut this week?
Mhm.
And also, it encourages people when they go to the farmer's market to get what's at the farmer's market. Then you can come home, look in Blissful Bites. Oh, spicy greens are, available now at the farmer's market. What can I make with those? But the recipes, like you said, are very versatile, and they encourage people to experiment. For me, I like to sneak in vegetables as much as possible. So a lot of my recipes have like tons of vegetables in them, because that's where we're getting all of our micronutrients.
Yeah.
So if it has 4 different vegetables and you're like, geez, I'm going to be cutting all day, go ahead and just cut it down to 2. You don't have to do all 4 of those, right?
Right.
But also, once you make a recipe and you learn the technique, then you can switch vegetables and you make a whole new recipe. You can switch out the spices and make a whole new recipe. So if you
Mhm.
make a grain salad, one day you put curry powder and garam masala and you kind of Indian spiced, and then the next time you put in cumin and chili powder and black, and you make it a Mexican brown rice salad. So I think people learn that when they cook with my book, and of course when they come to my cooking classes or watch my videos, because you want to be able to find new creative ways to make the same dishes, because that saves you time too. Once you make a grain salad once, you've got the technique down. It's going to take you no time at all to make it again with new vegetables, and you can make it each season with different seasonal vegetables. So cooking can be so much fun and so easy once you just wrap your head around these kind of principles.
Yeah, those are some awesome points. And I think a lot of people get hung up on the fact that there are these chefs that create these specific recipes where there really are a lot of possibilities and it's not just one way of doing things. So I think your book was really great at showing people how to make different meals in different ways. And thanks for chatting with me today, Christy.